Hello everyone, this past weekend was quite a big one for Age of Empires fans. Not only did the definitive edition of Age of Empires 2 finally launch, but we also got a short teaser of in-game footage from the much anticipated Age of Empires 4, as well as some extra details. Now there's not too much to cover with Age of Empires 4 just yet, so I'll just be talking about that at the end of the video. Before that though, I wanted to quickly cover Age 2's definitive edition and my experience with it so far. So the Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition features all of the content ever released for Age of Empires 2, the base game plus the original Conqueror's expansion, and the 3 DLCs that were developed for the HD edition. It also comes with its own extra content pack baked in, the Last Khans. So that's a now complete package of 35 unique civilizations spread across 28 campaigns. It's an enormous amount of content to get through. The most notable thing with the Definitive Edition when you begin playing is the complete asset overhaul the game has received. The art has been redone to have smoother animations, making it truly compatible for 60 FPS and 4K resolutions. The soundtrack has been remastered with 2.5 hours of music covering many of the extra DLC civilizations as well. From a gameplay perspective, there's been several tweaks and improvements. You can now automate farm and fish trap reseeding. There's now global queues that let you see your production at a glance, progress bars for buildings, improved UI that lets you see how many workers you have assigned to any one resource at any time, a new AI that apparently doesn't cheat, which also comes with its own extreme difficulty. On top of all that, there's a bunch of minor tweaks and balance changes and a huge slew of options and toggleables to allow you to have more of the old school options should you wish. You can rebind every action in the game, you can save various sets of those keybinds, change what info displays on the UI, you can use an updated waypoint system, right click to instantly garrison, and you can even do an drag all that ignores villagers for those like me who are particularly lazy when it comes to control groups. The very last thing is that there's new tutorials and an art of war which kind of teach you the game and some of the popular meta that familiar Age of Empires experts use all the time. These are quite interesting challenge missions that if nothing else provide just a different way to play. As well as that, there's the scenario editor which makes a return with extra content and new dynamic triggers that allow you to create more engaging campaign and scenarios. All of this is currently $20 on Steam, or $15 if you already owned the Age of Empires 2 HD edition, or you can just purchase the Xbox for PC Game Pass, in which it's included. Now, one thing that I didn't mention yet is the online. Right now, it's a bit of a mess from what I can tell. The server browsers have been kind of bugged with lobbies not really showing correctly, and the crossplay function between the Xbox Game Pass users and Steam just doesn't work. They seem to be updating the game on Steam right now, but not on the Game Pass version, so the versions keep going incompatible and out of sync. The only way I could get the game initially to play with friends was by creating a clan and then inviting them through that, because we just couldn't find each other or the lobbies. The invite system on Game Pass especially attempts to use the Xbox app and then the Xbox game bar. I don't even know what any of this stuff is really for Windows 10, and it's absolutely awful. You have to quit the game to accept your invite because it'll attempt to launch the game, but then it errors out because you're already in the game. The game's running already, so the executable doesn't run. It's a mess. Don't use the Xbox Game Pass. It's probably just launch hiccups, although I did experience the same thing in the beta, so it's sad to see that they just released it like that anyway. So just know that if you have the game on Game Pass, you know, you're at a bit of a disadvantage. It's still perfectly fine if you want to play single player, but if you plan on playing with friends right now, I'd go with the Steam version, as that, ironically, has much less issues than the publisher's own platform. So that's really it for the Definitive Edition. Generally, it's been an awesome experience so far. It feels just like a brand new game, and I think its pricing and content really should be applauded because many publishers would have this as a $40 game or more. And I feel like this has been an extremely balanced and fair approach and also kept the integrity of the game intact. It still just feels like Age of Empires 2 with a bit more content and polish for today's standards. So let's move on now to Age of Empires 4. So Age of Empires 4 gameplay trailer was revealed at XO19 over the weekend, and they've also released a short behind the scenes and answered some questions about it too. The trailer seems to be a vertical slice kind of scripted battle demo with cinematic cameras panning around it, but it does seem like it was running in real time, as you can sometimes see tiny bugged out units and things that seem more like in-game stuff rather than, you know, hand-placed engine stuff by cinematic artists. So I wanted to go through just really quickly some of the details that I noticed from the trailer. You can see villagers carrying their resources in their hands as they move between collection points. There was no blood on attack or on the ground after people or animals were killed. Troops can walk along the walls now, and they can fire on ground units from up there. There's a sort of magical eagle that flies around. Now, this was featured in the reveal trailer, and it might just be purely some kind of cinematic design choice, or it might have some effect in-game. I'm thinking like maybe a scout, because they kind of used it to reveal the trailer and reveal the map, and you see it flying around every now and then. So it could be a sort of a scout. Who knows? We'll have to see. Unless it's entirely a pre-scripted map, which, could be for single-player missions, you can potentially build roads now in your towns. There's infield defenses. Some archers sat behind stakes in the ground which seemed to hinder cavalry when they got attacked. Gateway towers seem separate to the walls, so you can actually take out the towers individually and they fall down with the wall staying up behind it. And then from the behind the scenes we can see a basic UI layout that they're working on, and also notice the 4 key resources: food, wood, gold, and stone, so doesn't seem to be any changes there. Those are most of the details I noticed anyway. The game does also have a very lighthearted aesthetic, especially when you compare it to Age of Empires 2, which was very moody. Now this seems to be a trend amongst a lot of games lately, and it's pretty clear why. A more cartoonish aesthetic is generally just a little bit cheaper to make, there's less detail, it runs better on more hardware, and it can be also reaching a wider audience as it's more kid-friendly. Now given all that, it kind of makes sense why so many games are going that route. But it's not to the extreme here. It's sort of cartoony, but it also has a decent amount of detail, especially on the buildings and walls. It's not just a flat, cartoonish texture, it's got detail, which is much more reminiscent of the Settlers or Anno, which is a sort of a lighthearted charm to it. So I actually kind of like it. I think though if they did go a bit further with it, it would start to turn me off, as I do prefer darker, more grittier games in general. This is just speculation, but it does seem to be something that Microsoft may have mandated, because Relic aren't exactly known for their lighthearted art styles. They have Homeworld and Company of Heroes and Dawn of War. These are usually pretty dark, gritty, and realistic looking games. And at Microsoft's conference at XO19, almost every game was this kind of lighthearted, cartoonish aesthetic. So my guess is that they've kind of mandated that. It seems to be the approach that they're taking with a lot of their titles. I do hope that blood is still an option in the settings as it is in previous games at least. They may have just been trying to keep the age rating of the trailer low just to reach a kind of general audience, but maybe the game will get rated higher if it does have blood. It'd be quite disappointing if they're actually trying to keep the age rating low for the game and they just didn't include it. I'd be quite disappointed in that. So for those unaware, Age of Empires 4 is being developed by Relic Entertainment in collaboration with Xbox Game Studios. The game director is Quinn Duffy, who was previously the director of Company of Heroes 2, and the creative director is Adam Isgreen from Xbox. So those two guys presumably will be heading the creative driving force behind the game's direction and design. In a PC Games N article, Adam Isgreen, the creative director, said that Age of Empires 4 would not be receiving microtransactions, but instead they would be exploring other DLCs and expansions post-release, and they even intend on doing similar things for Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, so that game's life cycle still isn't quite done yet. It's interesting to note as well, he said that 35 Civilizations is getting a bit bloated now, so they're looking for other ways that they can use DLC and expansions to improve the game, maybe with different game modes and things like that. So the last thing is that from the trailer we could see an advancing Mongol army attacking an English town. So far, those are the only 2 confirmed civilizations. Though from an interview with Adam Isgreen, he says that the idea with Age of Empires 4 is to differentiate civilizations much more. And he says while playing the English will feel similar to the Britons in Age of Empires 2, the Mongols will not play anything like the English. And we don't know much more other than that. It could just be really marketing speak for all we know. We'll have to see. That's really it for my quick look over Age of Empires 4. I'm interested to see what they do with it. I'd prefer a bit of a darker tone and some more information, seeing that it has been so long since the announcement. They seem to be still quite quiet and far away from release. It might not be coming out till 2021, as they are in pre-alpha right now and the UI doesn't even have everything even in place yet. Either way, I'm sure we'll start seeing more from them very soon, and in the meantime I'll be playing the definitive edition of Age of Empires 2. That's all from the video. Let me know what you think of the trailer. Do you like the art style? Do you care that we're seeing the medieval age again? Are you fearful or hopeful that there'll be a lot of civilizations to play? One must remember that Relic released Company of Heroes 2 with just the Soviets and the Wehrmacht, and then Dawn of War 3 with just 3 races. There's a lot to speculate on right now, so let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.